Hello and welcome. Apologies because today's episode will definitely be noisy. That's because my kids are at catechism and I'm just chilling outside waiting for them. So, since I'm behind on the movie reviews, I figured let me just go ahead and make another one. Now, the movie I'm going to review is something that I watched a couple of days ago, maybe 3, 4 days ago, and that is The Ghosts We Chase. Again, the title of the movie is The Ghosts We Chase, and it's something I found from Bolaji Ogumola TV. So you go to YouTube and you search for the channel Bolaji Ogumola TV, and that's where I found the movie. Now, I was interested in the movie because I've been seeing Bolaji Ogumola in some other stuff, and I have been seeing Michael Dapper in Omonio Boli stuff, and then I saw two of them together in a movie, and I thought, okay, cool, this would be a pretty solid romantic movie, I guess. So I decided to watch it, and lo and behold, again, I was surprised. It was more like a romantic comedy drama kind of thing. It was not that happily ever after kind of movie that I thought was going to be. So, The Ghost We Chase on Bolaji Ogumola TV, starring Michael Dapper and Bolaji Ogumola. There's another lady there, but no, I didn't get her name. Sorry, forgive me. I'm new in this thing. But, with time, I'll start knowing everybody's name, small, small, small. So, yeah, like I said, romantic comedy kind of drama something, and it's about the romantic and emotional struggles of the main character, whose name is Alex. Although at the beginning of his movie he called himself Triple A, and then throughout the rest of the movie nobody called him Triple A. So I was wondering, is that like a continuity problem or something? But anyway, so it's about the romantic and emotional struggles of Alex, because he's looking for a financially stable partner. This whole thing of what do you bring to the table? So a couple of years ago, maybe like 2, 3 years ago, I haven't seen, but I heard that boys have started asking questions like that. What do you bring to the table? And I thought it was kind of odd. Like, really? Like, you're toasting a babe and then you ask her, what do you bring to the table? I don't know. Anyway, so it was a movie where I finally got to see the what do you bring to the table kind of thing. And, early in the movie, he asked one of the girls, what do you bring to the table? And she said, I am the table. And, it got some laughter and stuff like that. And I thought that was a brilliant answer. What do you bring to the table? I am the table. I am the prize. So, yeah, he's looking for a financially stable partner. And it's something that, keeps coming up again and again throughout the whole movie. He wants a woman who's going to do 50-50, 50-50, house rent, 50-50. You guys go out to eat, 50-50, everything, 50-50. So that thing keeps going on and on and on and on and on throughout the movie. And, kind of beg the question, like, why? Like, why is this guy on this whole 50-50 case? Anyway, it turns out towards the end of the movie. Oh, by the way, sorry. Apologies if you're listening to the podcast for the first time. If you don't like spoilers, do not listen to this podcast. Do not subscribe to this podcast, because there are going to be lots of spoilers. Because to be honest, I don't know how I'm going to do a movie review or something that I watch, without putting a spoiler. I'm not that creative. So, yeah, it's something that, keeps begging the question throughout the whole movie, and it becomes obvious towards the end that it's because the guy's father died. The guy's father committed suicide, so obviously mental health challenges, and Alex's character attributes it to this whole, manly man something, like you have to carry the whole household, you have to do everything yourself. He gets into an argument with his mom, and the mom was like, I supported your father, blah, and, ugly quarrel, sure, but, that's just life for you. And I guess that's one of the reasons why Nollywood movies, whether on YouTube or Netflix or whatever, I guess that's why they're kind of relatable, because there's an element of, reality about it. So, anyway, yeah, so that's it. So, Alex has determined, what's it saying in my church? Determined. Alex has determined that everything will be 50-50. We go to eat, 50-50. House rent, 50-50. Everything, 50-50. Now, the problem is, Alex has a housemate, and her name is Cassie. And Cassie is a long-time friend. Cassie has unstable income because she's an app developer. So, sometimes Alex will help her, with house rent and, stuff like that. But the thing is, Cassie, she really digs Alex. And is one of the running questions throughout the movie. Like, does Alex even dig Cassie? Like, does he like her? Abi, she's just available, that kind of thing. Then Eventually, Alex falls for Ari, and that's Bolaji Ogumola's character. And it's a financial partnership, and it's a working financial partnership because Ari has her own money. Apparently, like she's paid up, and so it's a financial partnership. Everything 50-50. We go out to eat 50-50. House rent 50-50. Everything 50-50%. But then Alex finds out that this whole financial partnership thing of 50-50 does not necessarily mean emotionally we're compatible, or that we have shared family values, because a couple of things happen. Alex's mom comes to stay over. Small quarrel that ensues. Something about children. And anyway, bottom line, Sha, 50-50 doesn't mean that everything else in other aspects of life are just set. So the movie explores different themes, modern dating expectations, against traditional dating expectations. So that whole thing of what do you even bring to the table? See, to be honest, for me, I find that question weird. Weird. I'm surprised that apparently Nigerian men ask that question. I'm not in the streets anymore. I'm not dating anymore, so I don't know what it's like out there. But yeah, a few years ago, maybe 2-3 years ago, I heard that yeah, boys would ask that kind of thing. What do you bring to the table? So I understand that nobody wants to carry liability and put inside house, but that what you bring to the table is a bit one kind. So anyway, modern people date differently. Traditional daters date differently. Yeah, so there were some of those questions. Oh, his friend in the movie had a richer spouse, so I guess there's also some of those themes as well. Is it a problem that Madame earns more money than Oga? Then let's see what else. But one thing that I really, really, really want to talk about, honestly, film aside now, this whole 50-50 thing, because I've been thinking about it for a while. 50-50 is not realistic at all. It's not realistic. It's not practical. 50-50 is okay when we're talking about money. Okay, house rent 50-50, no problem. Fuel for the car 50-50, no problem. Maintaining the car, no problem. Credit, no problem. School fees, okay, I get it. But then when it comes to childcare, what is 50-50? Will you stay at home 50% of the time and then madam stays at home 50% of the time? Okay, you get the house help. But then, like, what about discipline? Is madam going to discipline the kids 50% of the time? Then you discipline the kids 50% of the time? How do you 50-50 childcare? How do you 50-50 parenting? How do you 50-50 housework? Assuming you don't have a house girl like in the early days and you've just married. So what is 50% of the dishes? What is 50% of the dishes? Or what is 50% of washing the bathroom? Or what is 50% of washing the toilets? How do you 50-50 laundry? If one person puts the clothes in the laundry, the other person folds it. Is that 50-50? So honestly, this 50-50 crap, I don't know where the hell this thing is coming from, and I don't know why people think it's a workable formula in relationships. See, if Weibo people want to try all kinds of experiments, I get it. But Nigerian people, I honestly don't understand where this thing is coming from. So at the end of the day, yeah, I understand. Nobody want to carry liability put for house, whether you're a man or you're a woman. But 50-50, I don't know. Don't know where that thing came from, but it's not workable. If it was a purely money something, I get it. It would work. If this was purely business, it can work. But even in business itself, the thing causes problems because people say they'll be partners on a 50-50 basis, and it's okay, no problem. So, person will say, well, you bring your own 2.5M, I'll bring my own 2.5M. That's it, we're a business. But then eventually quarrel starts because somebody will say, yes, we did this thing 50-50. We're supposed to be 50-50. But me, I'm in the office 9 to 5 every day. You only come in at 12 and you leave at 4. The other person will say, me, I come in at 12 where I leave at 4. But the work I'm doing while I'm here is highly, the thing they give value. Or you understand? So my own 12 to 4 is equal to you staying here 9 to 5. So that thing they bring quarrel even in business 50-50. So guys, I beg, it's 50-50 thing. I don't know. And if you're any 50 person and is working, yeah, reach out. Let me know. I beg. Let me hear from your own experience. Well, there's one part of the movie that I really, really loved, and that was the resolution of the movie. Because, now love triangle we did now. There's what's his name again? Alex on one end, and then Cassie, the flatmates on the other end, and then there's Ari. So now love triangle be that. And I like the way that for for Cassie. I like the way she resolves it at the end because eventually Alex thinks, "Oh, I've made a mistake." He tries to get back with Cassie, and I like the way Cassie resolved it because you can see that Cassie. Well, first of all, this movie is not a movie that has a tidy ending. The thing didn't end like I expected. I thought it was going to be a romantic kind of ending, but the movie just is hanging. And because of that, Bolaji Ogumona, I would say, well done. I clap for you, man. Like you tried. That was a good one. That was a good one. So excuse me. Although I think the movie, I think it could have been tied up better, but for attempting that kind of ending, I clap for you. You've done very well, man. Very well. Bolaji Ogumona, thumbs up. Nice one. So sorry, excuse me. Still have a cold. So for uh what's her name again? Cassie. So Alex was like, I love you, something, something, I made a mistake, this, that. Immediately the guy finished the romantic something. I was now thinking that um Cassie will now say, oh, I love you too, something, something. Cassie looked at him, she was crying, and basically she just said something like, Alex, God bless you. God bless you in all endeavors. I wish you well, something, something, something. Then she just opened the door. I said, nice one, correct, correct. I like that. Because you can see that she's suffering. The thing they pain her because she likes this guy. But of course, how long can you be a doormat? So I like that she stood firm. So Michael self in confused. So that's how I say Michael. Sorry, Michael Dapper. I mean Alex. Yeah. So Michael playing Alex. So of course Alex confused, and then he locked the door, and then Cassie she began to cry. She was crying, and then there was a knock on the door. It was Alex again? Yeah, Alex. And then Cassie opened the door, and then he walked back in, gave another romantic speech. I will not stop fighting for us. I will always call you. I will always this. I will always that. Whatever. And then Cassie repeated the exact same thing again. Something like "God bless you, Alex, in all your endeavors. I wish you well." Something. So then she just opened the door. I said, "Correct, my sister. Standing firm. No more. You can't just let people be walking over you anyhow." So that's how the guy went. She now closed the door. She began to cry. So I was now waiting for the next scene, and then credits. The credits begin to roll. I say, "Eh? Did you not finish?" So that was kind of shocking, but I like that. I like that Bolaji Ogumola tried it. You write the movie, you leave that thing, you leave it. Let's say now unresolved. Yeah, I like it, and I think it was really courageous what Cassie did. Sometimes you're weak, but you figured out the formula. You just stand firm. You just don't say anything more. Don't say anything less. Just stand to the formula. So if you're one of my sisters and you find yourself in that situation, once people have advised you that look, this is the thing you say, you just stand firm. You just stand on the formula. You just stand like a mugu. There's nothing else the boy can say. So if that's what your friends have decided, that you love this guy, but he's treating you like crap, and this is what you should tell him. That's the only thing you say. You say, Alex, may God be with you in all your endeavors. And I wish you well. Then you open the door. Nothing else to be said again. Sorry, excuse me. My cold. All right. So throughout the movie, of course, there was this whole thing of unrequited love going on, and this whole thing of chopping for free. And to be honest, even if you remove religious grounds from the matter, I'm not. I'm not in. I don't agree that boys should be chopping for free because, I'm a business development consultant. So there was this entrepreneur I was doing some work with, maybe like 3-4 years ago. That's while I was doing some work with Faith Foundation in Lagos, and the guy was one of the entrepreneurs that was passing through their incubation system with Orange Corners OCIF, Orange Corners Innovation Fund. Yeah, so it's something that's funded by the royal family from Denmark, and they put euros in Nigerian businesses, just support Nigerian businesses. So anyway, normal now, as per young men. So eventually, I always ask questions about, like how are the babes now, that kind of thing. And he had a girlfriend, a long time girlfriend, and they've been together for a while. And so I had to ask him one day, look, you've been with this babe, not in near like 4 years. Like, do you see yourself marrying her? The guy said, no. I said, I said, why? We were talking. Then I asked one simple question. Do you see yourself having children with her? And the guy said it without blinking. The guy said no. I was like, oh, okay. In that case, I think you're making the right choice. You can't see yourself having children with this lady. I think you're making the right choice. But then I pushed it more like, okay, so you can't marry her. You can't have kids with this woman. So what are you doing with her? Abi, you just the chop mugu. And the guy asked me one question. He said, what if she say make a chop? And I was confused. I said, what? Like you have had this conversation? He said, yes. And that she knows that this thing is going nowhere. She said yes. And I said, look, as a man, it would be irresponsible for you to continue to, to the chop free food. Meanwhile, like nothing. And he just said, what if she's the one that say make a chop? I was confused. But I still recovered and I told him that, look, even in a situation where she say, continue to the chop, no, you're a man. Being a man means you do what's right. It means you do what is right. So on this whole, we are friend zone, friend for benefits, I go to chop for free kind of something. Like be a man, be a man. Be a man. Be a man means, doing what is right. You know what is the right thing to do. I know it is expedient that you will continue to stay there because you enjoy yourself. And even she has told you that she's enjoying herself. Of course, that is what she will say. Of course, she will say she's enjoying herself. Anyway, let me keep quiet before somebody will blast me and say, am I saying that women can't make up their mind? So, anyway, that's my own take on it. Then, on the aspect of the family trauma in the movie, I'm glad that at the end of the movie, Alex spoke to his mom and they had the quarrel and they were shouting up and down and all that. Because, if you've gone through a bit of family trauma or family whatever, and you're in a long-term relationship with somebody, you have to talk about this stuff so that people understand. So in this case, he talked to Momsy is good. Momsy, what happened? This is what me I saw. This is what me I did not like. What happened between you and Popsy? Talk. Let Momsy hear where you're coming from. You will now hear, and there'll be healing in the process. And that's the place where Alex messed up. When he was saying this whole 50-50, you should have told Cassie, look, this is where I'm coming from. See what happened to my popsy. Like, nah, this is not going to be me, blah. Like, you could have had a conversation. You never know. They could have worked it out. You never know. You're supposed to tell him. But talk. We should be talking. And Cassie accused Alex of treating her like a backup plan and a safe option. And yes, I actually think so. But see, this is one thing we need to understand, especially young men listening to this podcast. When you carry a woman and you keep as backup plan or safe option, it is not good for you. And it's not good for her. Some of you will be saying, it's not fair to the woman. Let's remove the woman from the picture. You, Seth, young man, it's not good for you. You that are playing these kind of games. The reason why you're not being fair to yourself is because you're selling yourself short. You've kept somebody in the background. You've kept somebody in the house. You've kept somebody somewhere that, okay, now my safe option will be this. Meanwhile, you don't think they're premium quality. You are selling yourself short. If what you truly desire is outside, then forget this backup plan. If she's not the one that you want, then just leave her. You owe it to yourself to go and chase the one outside that you think is premium grade. So, if this one not be premium grade, leave him. Free the matter. Go outside and pursue the one that is your ideal. It is better that you go outside, pursue the one that is ideal. The thing is scattered, the thing didn't work. At least you tried. Than to say, let me just build a marriage with backup plan, with safe option. You are selling yourself short. So stop it. Even if you remove the woman from the mix, you're not being fair to yourself. Don't do backup plan. But of course, it's also not fair to the woman. You're treating her like an object. But I'm glad that Cassie eventually found her self-worth, eventually found her dignity. In the beginning, she was saying, Alex, choose me, choose me. Eventually, she got to the point where she said, no, that means I choose myself. When she said that, I remembered one episode of Love is Blind. Love is Blind. There's this show on, it's on Netflix. Sorry, excuse me. So this show is on Netflix. My wife likes to watch it. Love is Blind. I think there's Love is Blind UK, Love is Blind, like I think America, maybe Australia. I can't remember. But my wife watches all of them, and it's this thing where like they put people in a room. You do blind date. So there's a room, but there's a wall. So the guy is on one end of the wall, the woman is on the other end of the wall. You guys talk for a while, and then from there, that's how people fall in love. And then the whole catch in the whole movie is that okay, when we finally reveal the whole team, when we remove the wall, you will see yourself for the first time as you are. That will the love continue. In fact, the very first one that I watched with my wife, I can't remember season something, maybe like season 3 or something. There was this guy there. There's this Niger guy. Well, not really Nigerian per se, but I think he has like Niger blood. The guy was falling in love with this babe, falling in love. I say, hey, this will be a disaster because you could tell that this guy the guy likes baddies. But then the babe, on the other hand, the babe was how will I put it? She was a normal girl. She was a reasonable somebody. Then the guy likes baddies now, but then she was on the normal side. No too thick, no too slim. You understand? But the guy clearly likes a baddie. That's how the guy they declare love, they confess love, confess love. When they did the review, you could see that this guy was disappointed, but he was just carrying on. See, this is the reason why I say all this safe option, whatever, is crap. If by the time you see him, you say, no, na body I want, then kill the thing there. Go and look for your body. You are selling yourself short. Anyway, so that was the first time I heard someone say that kind of thing, that I choose me. That's when I heard it. Love is blind. The lady said, you know what? That's not this lady, it was another lady, another love triangle. And the lady said, now look, I choose me. Like, I am done. I am leaving this house. I've told this boy that I like him. The boy is saying he's in love with 2 or 3 other people. She said, I am done. I'm not waiting for him to choose me. I will choose me. And then the girl left the house. She left. So yeah, I'm glad that Cassie found herself dignity, and I like this whole I choose me thing. So big ups. My sisters, I beg. More, they choosing herself. That like, I'm tired of this crap. I choose me. Then you stand up and walk out. Yes, of course you cry. Give yourself like 1 week. By the time you cry for 1 week, all your tears not finished. Just wipe yourself up. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Don't worry. If I remember when I was in university, there was this girl that wanted to die on top of her matter. But nowadays, when people ask me how is so and so, like, I can't even remember her name again. Once in a while, it comes back. But now, as you ask me, I can't remember her name. Some will say, oh, how was that girl? Remember now, when we were in part 2, that girl used to hang around. But at the time, I thought, if not her, I will die. Meanwhile, life goes on. It's just one of those things. So I beg my sisters, more not choosing herself. So, for those of you who are listening to the podcast for the first time, because I'm Catholic, I always look at it from the lens of religious themes from a Catholic perspective. And also, because I'm a business consultant, sales and business consultant, I also look at things from a business perspective as well. So, excuse me. Because obviously, there's no Niger movie that you watch that does not have any kind of business, entrepreneurial or something inside. So, yeah, so let's go on now, the Catholic perspective. So this whole thing now is marriage as a contract, and then marriage as a sacrament. So clearly, Alex is coming at this thing of, marriage is a contract, 50-50. I bring my own, you bring your own. Then we'll plan for contingency. If there's any problem, we'll go down like this, we'll go down like that. And then, of course, in this whole thing of marriage as a contract, there's always an escape clause. So nowadays, people they sign a prenup. I hear that even in Nigeria, people are signing prenups now. I don't think that's a good plan. I don't know. Although as a former lawyer, I'm curious just to see one prenup and just to see how it works. Because I've never seen one. Back when I was in school and we studied family law, we didn't go that far as in to look at draft prenup agreements or something. So Alex and a bunch of folks are laboring under this whole marriage is a contract. You don't have 50-50. Now the thing is, yes, in a sense, marriage is a contract. In a sense. But the thing is, the way that is viewed in the Catholic Church says that yes, marriage is kind of like a contract, but it is something that has been elevated to the status of a sacrament. Now, when we say sacrament, we just means it's something that gives grace. Now, there's a longer definition for that, but there's some things that you do, for Christians anyway, there's some things that you do that give grace. And then grace is a gift of God that allows you to do other things. I'll explain that in other episodes. But marriage is a sign of grace. So it's a sacrament. So because marriage is a sacrament in the Catholic Church, we say partnership, sure, no problem, but one that has been elevated to a sacrament. And so because of that, as you people are partnering, the partnership actually is for the mutual redemption of the parties. So the whole point of me being married is so that I can bring my wife to salvation, and the whole point of my wife being married to me so she can bring me to salvation. And if we do a good job, we bring the kids to redemption, and so that's the whole point. Also, the way the Catholic Church puts it, we get married, we are supposed to be a sign to everybody else. We're supposed to be a sign to everybody else of the fidelity of God. That is what we're trying to be mirroring. Because, you read the Bible from beginning to the end, it's just a great big marriage. And, Israel has been unfaithful, and we have been unfaithful, and we will always be unfaithful, but God is faithful. So our marriage is supposed to mirror that kind of reality. God's marriage with humanity. So, even though marriage is a contract, it's not a contract with a 50-50 something. I'm supposed to be coming in selfless. My wife is supposed to come in selfless. Two of us coming in selfless, trying to grow with our crosses. That's what will make the marriage pure. That's what will make the marriage blossom. But that's also one thing that some of you, like Alex, don't realize. All these 50-50 people. By the time you're doing 50-50, the baby is holding back. You're not getting 100% of this woman. Everything looks good for now. Until quarrel arise, until yawa gas, you now see that I didn't have 100% of this woman in here. So for guys, it's not as this 50-50 thing is not as sweet as you think it is. Then, oh dear, almost 30 minutes. Okay, let me round up quickly. Then there's this whole thing of utility. Sorry, forgive me. I've always had a problem pronouncing this thing, even from my law school days, because it's something that we studied under ethics and legal philosophy. So it's utilitarianism. So utilitarianism is where you make how do I put it now? Utilitarianism. Okay, when you make choices, ethical choices, good and bad, stuff like that. But you just make it based on whether something is useful or whether something is valuable to you, right now in this moment. And that is clearly what Alex was doing. The guy na utilitarian nigger. So any babe that is useful to him now, according to his, his 50-50, whatever, and no problem. That's the one that he will be with. By the way, for women who have feminist tendencies, don't watch this movie. It'll be a hard one to watch because essentially, from the beginning to the end, you're going to watch Alex taking his choice of women from the beginning to the end, and it will vex you. So if you're a feminist, I beg, do not watch this movie. You'll be angry. You'll be annoyed. So, for the Catholic Church, there's no such thing as utilitarianism. Something is either right or it's wrong, objectively. Objectively just means, how will I put it now? It doesn't depend on you or me to make it right or to make it wrong. So whether Alex was treating these women right or wrong is not dependent on whether they agreed to the contract or whatever. The way he was treating them is either right or is either wrong in itself. The women, they have value in themselves. So we won't say, okay, this woman agreed to it, so therefore we can't say he took advantage of her. No, it's not a matter of whether he agreed or she agreed. Like, she has value, regardless. And then there's good or bad, regardless. So that's one thing that the movie pushes and that we can learn from a Catholic perspective, dignity of the human person. So Cassie, she has dignity in herself. Even though in the beginning she couldn't stand up for herself. Ari also has dignity herself. Even though she came into this thing at the 50-50, eventually Ari herself, she vexed, she blew. Because Alex was now talking about this one thing, and then Alex, Ari started like, no, that is 50-50 here. That I'm a woman, but I pay my way. I pay my own bills. I have my own soap. I have my own job. I didn't ask you nothing. This house rent, I pay 50-50. I don't want your momsy to be in this house. I'm paying my rent 50-50. That's when Alex eye just opened like, hey? So everybody get dignity. Ari has her own dignity. Cassie has her own dignity. The movie started with Alex having a girlfriend, a fiancée, who ended up dumping him. So all these women, they all have their own dignity. Whether na Ross girl or whether na Mugu or whether na whatever, they all have their own dignity. That's how we look at it from the Catholic Church. And then another thing would be this whole thing of virtue and character, versus materialism. Alex, the guy is coming from a purely materialistic, paradigm, and he did not consider that. Look, there's some other things. So because like Cassie, okay, she didn't have money. Cassie, okay, maybe she's a liability because she no get work. Okay, but clearly she had other virtues: the loyalty, the support, the care. All that matters is the money. So, lots of things to consider. Then, from the business perspective, not too much to talk about here, but just one thing I wanted to talk about because Cassie, remember, she's broke, but she's an app developer. She's built an app and she's trying to raise investors. Now, the reason how Ari comes into the picture is because I can't remember what Ari's work is, but Ari tries to bring investors for Cassie, so that's the connection. So it's from that she now jams Alex, and then the relationship starts. The love triangle starts. So Cassie has been pitching to investors, but there's one thing they misportrayed in the movie, because in the movie, Cassie was making it feel as if like, Alex, choose me. Now don't worry, this app, it will pick up. By the time the team pick up and I have money, that will be fine, will be okay. But actually, that's not how it happens in real life. You don't use investors to cash out. Please, I repeat you, because there are lots of Nigerians who actually believe this thing. Like I said, I'm a business consultant, so I run into people who think like that. People think if I get an investor, I don't cash out. No, investor is not equal to cash out. Rather, the investor is just meant to provide float, money to keep this whole operation going while you are gaining traction. Traction just means your app is now gaining users or your app is now making money. So, investor does not equal to cash out. No. Investor equals to float that you will use to run the business while you are gaining traction, gaining users, or, start making a profit. So the actual cash out from your app or from your web business or whatever is revenue. You're bringing money, or you do IPO. You take the company public. You go PLC. That's where you cash out. Okay, so that's one mistake they made in the movie that I hope is not going to mislead some of you. Just know, investor is not equal to cash out. Investor is equal to float, money that you will use to run the business. The cash out is when the business starts making money, or the cash out is when you do your IPO, when you go on the stock exchange, when you do your when you make the business go big, basically. So, the final word on the movie. Movie is not bad. Production quality, I think they could have done one or two things better. But like I've said, please, if you are a woman with strong feminist leanings, do not watch this film because you will be vexed from the beginning of the film up until the only thing you will like about the film is the ending. The way that Cassie just said, God be with you, I bless you, God's blessings in all your endeavors. That's the only part of the film we will like. Every other part of the film, you will hate it from the beginning until the end. So if you have strong feminist leanings, don't watch this movie. And warning, if you have young boys in the house, like me, do not allow the young boys to watch this movie, because Michael Dapper now in the press anyhow. Any small thing go they kiss, go they press. So he pressed in this film, and he pressed well. So there was lots of gratuitous action, him just grabbing young women up and down. And then this lady now that made the film, Ogumola, Bolaji Ogumola, yeah. Well, anyway, let me not say too much. Let's just say she's senior Dolly Parton. Let me just put it like that. If you know what I'm saying, you know. So she's senior Dolly Parton. So there are some parts of the movie that were like, yeah. I beg, this one is too much. So you understand now. So if you have small children in the house, small children should not watch this film. Especially if you have young boys in the house. Young boys should not watch this film. Then, if you have feminist tendencies, don't watch this film, because there's too much of a woman on display. And of course, there's too much of women being pressed and being chopped up and down. So you'll be angry from the beginning to the end. If you're looking for a romantic comedy, don't watch this movie. You will be severely disappointed. So that's the final word. These are the people who should not watch it. If you don't fall into these categories, it's okay. I think the drama could have been better done in some parts, but overall, this is a movie that I would recommend because I think that these are conversations that are necessary to have, and I think it's a good thing that movie makers are finally tackling this subject. Because when I heard this thing of what do you bring to the table, when I heard like 2 3 years ago, I thought it was a joke, but apparently it was a thing. Now, since I'm not on the streets, I don't know if it's a thing anymore. But I guess these are conversations that we need to have. And so, because of that, I will say, Auntie Bolaji Ogumola, thank you very much for producing this movie. You did well for pushing the discourse. So, yeah, I'll just leave it like that. So, thank you very much for your time and attention. If you would love to connect with me, you can send me a text message or a WhatsApp message on 080 6466 2140. So that's it. Thanks for your time and attention. I'll catch you all some other episode.